A man on the subway demanded I give up my seat because men should get priority over women. When I refused, he blocked the aisle and snarled, "You'll regret this." Other passengers whispered as I pressed the emergency button and said, "Then let's see if the train staff agrees." It was a typical Monday morning in New York City. I boarded the Uptown 6 train at 33rd Street, heading to my job near Grand Central Terminal. The train was crowded, as usual, but I managed to find a seat. I settled in, headphones on, ready to endure the daily grind. At the next stop, a man boarded the train. He was in his mid-40s, dressed in a business suit, and had an air of self-importance. He scanned the car, his eyes landing on me. He walked over and stood in front of me, glaring. "You need to give me your seat," he said. I looked up, confused. "Excuse me? I'm a man. Men should get priority over women. It's common courtesy." I was stunned. "I'm sorry, but I'm not giving up my seat." He scowled. "You'll regret this." He then positioned himself in the aisle, blocking my view and making it uncomfortable for others to pass. The tension in the car was palpable. Other passengers began whispering, some looking at me with sympathy, others with curiosity. I felt a mix of anger and fear. I reached for the emergency intercom button and pressed it. "Then let's see if the train staff agrees," I said. A voice crackled over the intercom. "Is there an emergency?" "Yes," I replied. "A man is harassing me and blocking the aisle." "Understood. We'll address it at the next station." At the next stop, a transit officer boarded the train and approached us. "What's going on here?" he asked. I explained the situation, and the man immediately began defending himself. "This woman refused to give up her seat. It's disrespectful." The officer looked at him sternly. "Sir, there's no rule that men get priority seating. Please step aside and allow others to pass." The man huffed but moved away, muttering under his breath. The officer stayed on the train for a few more stops to ensure there were no further issues. The man kept his distance, occasionally shooting me dirty looks. Other passengers offered words of support, and one even gave me a thumbs up. I arrived at work shaken but proud. I stood up for myself and didn't let misogyny win. A few days after the train incident, I started noticing small things that didn't feel right. At first, I chalked it up to me being on edge. I mean, when a grown man blocks a subway aisle and threatens you in public, it stays with you. But this felt different. I'd catch someone watching me on the platform at 33rd. Same time, same place, always a guy in a long coat. I tried not to be paranoid. New York has people staring all the time. But the second or third time I noticed him again, something in my gut said it wasn't random. Then I started getting weird messages on my social media. They were from throwaway accounts. No profile picture. Messages like, "Hope you're enjoying your seat, princess. You made the wrong man angry. You should learn your place." It made my skin crawl. I don't post a lot online, so it had to be someone who either recognized me or searched for me on purpose. I changed all my passwords, locked my accounts, and even added two-factor. But the messages kept coming. At work, it got worse. Someone left a folded note on my desk. No envelope, no name. Just a sheet of printer paper, folded twice. Inside it said, "You embarrass me. You don't know who you're dealing with." That was when I knew this wasn't over. I reported everything to HR. They said they'd investigate, and asked if I had enemies. Enemies? I wasn't a spy, just someone who refused to stand up for a guy who thought he was entitled to my seat. Then my boss called me into his office. Apparently, he got an anonymous tip accusing me of being disruptive and rude to male coworkers. Total lies. I've been at the company 5 years without a single complaint. Now suddenly I'm being asked to watch my tone? Something was going on. I went back to the MTA website and filed another report. This time I asked if the transit officer from that day could identify the man or at least note anything suspicious. I also asked for surveillance footage from the platform, hoping I could prove someone was following me. It took 2 weeks to hear back. In the meantime, I started altering my routine. Different train times. Changing cars halfway through the ride. I even started driving to work a couple days a week just to avoid the subway. But the unease stayed. One night, I was walking home from the grocery store. It was a little after 9 p.m., not super late, but quiet. I had my headphones in but only in one ear, city habit. I was halfway down my block when I noticed footsteps behind me. Steady. Not rushing, not slowing down. I turned quickly and saw him. The same man from the train. Only this time, he wasn't wearing a suit. He had on jeans, a hoodie, and a baseball cap pulled low. But I recognized his face. That smug look, that jaw clenched like he just chewed on glass. He didn't say anything. He just stared. I didn't wait. I turned, walked quickly to my building, and didn't look back. I slammed the door behind me, locked it, and pulled the curtains. That night I didn't sleep. The next morning, I called the NYPD and filed a report. I showed them the note, the messages, and told them everything. They said they'd assign a detective, but unless he made a direct threat or did something physical, their hands were tied. 2 more days passed. Then I got a package at work. No return address. Just my name and the office location. I opened it in the break room, heart thudding. Inside was a single subway token. And a copy of the Rules of Gentleman Conduct, a pamphlet from the 1940s, all about how women should be obedient and yield space to men. That was when I realized this man wasn't just angry. He was obsessed. I didn't tell anyone at work about the package. After the HR brush-off, I didn't trust them to do anything useful. I kept the token and the pamphlet, took photos, and added it all to the file I was building, screenshots, dates, times, everything. I wasn't just scared anymore. I was pissed. The detective finally called me back. His name was Rivera. He sounded tired but not dismissive. He said he reviewed the MTA footage. There was, in fact, a man lingering on the platform for several mornings. Tall, late 40s, wore a coat too warm for the season. Always boarded the same train car as me, but never at the same time. The guy was careful. I'm not saying it's him, Rivera said. But if I were a betting man. He didn't finish. He didn't have to. The next twist came when I looked him up. I finally had a name. The MTA had flagged him previously for an unrelated confrontation, a shouting match with a conductor. When I Googled it, I found a name in an old community paper article, Martin Reeds, former executive, dismissed after a workplace incident. I dug deeper. Turns out Martin wasn't just any guy. He used to run a mid-size investment firm. Quietly forced out after a hostile interaction with female staff, the article said. No charges, no lawsuit, just a forced resignation and silence. I sent everything to Rivera. He didn't say much, but I could tell the picture was forming for him too. I thought things might cool off once I started changing my route and time. But I was wrong. One morning, I came outside to find my car keyed. Not just a quick line either. Deep, jagged strokes from the hood to the rear bumper. And one word carved into the driver's side door: silence. That same afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. I shouldn't have answered. I warned you, the voice said, low and measured. Women like you don't learn until it's too late. Then the line went dead. I froze. I wasn't just being harassed anymore. This was escalating. I called Rivera again, this time nearly in tears. He keyed my car. He's threatening me. I don't care if it's not enough for an arrest yet. What does he need to do? Put his hands on me? The next day, Rivera called back. He said he was putting in a formal request for a protective order. It wouldn't go through right away. The burden of proof was high. But in the meantime, he had a plainclothes officer assigned to follow up. That night, I stayed at a friend's place in Queens. I needed to feel safe. 3 days later, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. It was short. No greeting. No sign-off. Just a single line. Nice escape. Too bad I already know where she lives. I was done waiting. I called a lawyer. I told him everything. He said he'd seen stalker harassment cases before, but the subway confrontation being the start point. That was unusual. He helped me draft a full written complaint, got it notarized, and submitted it to the NYPD and the DA's office. Rivera called again. They had found more. Surveillance footage from my apartment building caught Martin walking by twice, in the span of 4 days. No reason to be there. And then, the twist I didn't expect. Rivera told me they picked Martin up for questioning. Said he was cooperative. Said I misunderstood everything. Said he was just passionate about gender roles. And had a right to express himself. Then he mentioned something else. Apparently, Martin told the officers he had a support group. A group of like-minded men who believed in restoring balance to society. A group. It wasn't just him. Rivera didn't have names yet. Said they were combing through Martin's phone and laptop. But there were signs, group messages, shared documents, links to forums. And one more thing. In Martin's Notes app, they found a list. A literal list. Names, some with addresses. Mine was at the top. That was 2 days ago. I haven't been home since. My friend in Queens is letting me crash. The investigation is still open. No charges yet. No arrests. Rivera says. Soon. But soon isn't good enough. Because now I know this isn't just about one seat on a train. This is something else entirely. I didn't sleep for days. Every little sound outside made my heart race. I kept my phone close, screen brightness down, ringer off but vibration on. My bag had pepper spray, a legal knife, and now, because I was too scared not to, I started carrying a small keychain alarm. I wasn't just waiting for something to happen. I was bracing. Then something did happen. It was a Thursday night when Rivera called. I was sitting on my friend's couch, lights off, TV playing some comedy show I couldn't focus on. His voice was calm but firm. We have them, he said. What do you mean? We got a warrant. Martin and 2 of the other guys from his group. We picked them up this morning. He paused. They were planning something. I asked what? He said they had a map. Routes. Times. Even pictures, ones of me. At work, outside my building, entering the subway, even one through the window of my apartment. I felt sick. They weren't just watching you. They were organizing. A whole online chat group. Dozens of members, most anonymous for now. But Martin was a leader, and we have enough on him for stalking, criminal threat, and conspiracy. I hung up and cried. Not out of relief. Out of exhaustion. Rage. That this was real. That it got that far. That no one really helped until it almost tipped over the edge. But I wasn't done. I wanted justice, not just survival. So I did something that maybe wasn't smart, but felt right. I took everything I had. All the screenshots, photos, notes, emails, everything. I posted it online. All of it. Reddit, Twitter, Facebook. I kept names private, for legal reasons. But I told the whole story. It went viral. Fast. Thousands of people started sharing their own stories. Women who had been harassed on trains, at work, in the street. People who had been stalked. Ignored. Told they were overreacting. And then something surprising happened. One of Martin's ex-coworkers messaged me anonymously. He said Martin had always been weird about women in the office, but no one said anything because he was a rainmaker, brought in big clients, made big money. They protected him. Another message came in, from a guy. He said he'd been part of the online group but got scared when things turned real. Said he only joined because he was lonely and angry but never expected it to go that far. I passed his name to Rivera. Martin's arrest became local news. One of the other guys turned out to have a sealed record for a past assault. The story spread. Women started recognizing him from their own run-ins. And then, something unexpected happened. I got called in. Not by the police. By my HR department. Apparently, they were reassessing the way they handled employee safety. A consultant came in. A lawyer from the board. I sat in a conference room while they apologized for how my complaint was initially dismissed. But then the question came. Why didn't you bring this directly to senior management when it escalated? I laughed. I actually laughed in that quiet, tense room. Because I did, I said. And you told me it wasn't a big deal. They didn't fire me. They couldn't. But it was clear they didn't like the attention. So I made another choice. I quit. And I posted a detailed exit letter online. No names, just facts. It blew up. More people came forward. My company had to make a public statement. They started a task force. I don't know if it was real or just PR. Martin? He's facing charges now. His group collapsed. Turns out there were more people watching them than they knew. But here's the twist. I wasn't innocent either. I could have ignored him that day. Could have just stood up and moved cars. I could have avoided all of it. But I didn't. I stood my ground because I was tired of being told to give up space. Tired of being polite to people who didn't deserve it. Tired of acting small so others could feel big. So no, I don't regret it. But I understand the price. It's high. You lose sleep. You lose your sense of safety. You might even lose your job. But you get something back, too. You get your voice. And sometimes, if you're loud enough, you help others find theirs. That's revenge. Not just against one man. Against the whole system that thought I'd stay quiet. I didn't. And I won't.